Hey guys, welcome to this project 3 where I'm going to be showing us how to deploy using Terraform our application to Elastic Container Service. So as we know this architecture already, what we have to do now is including Terraform to be able to use it to deploy our ACS cluster. We'll deploy CloudWatch dashboards. We're going to deploy IAM. That's as far as cloud is concerned, we have to configure our IAM rules. So to carry out the different permissions that are required, we have to either request a certificate if we have one a domain already, and deploy through CloudFront our application to make the users to have low latency when they access. That's to sketch our content close to our users and RDS. So once all of that has been deployed, we therefore now have our second repository that's going to host our application code, which once there is a change, maybe in the dev branch, it's going to trigger a pipeline build, which is going to scan, build our Docker image, scan again for vulnerabilities. That's what you have either top 10 vulnerabilities or top sometimes of worst vulnerabilities. And once all of that is done, it's going to update the task definition and trigger a new deployment. That's more of what we are going to be doing. So for now, we are going to go through the Terraform code and understand the Terraform code and deploy and use Terraform to deploy our infrastructure. All right, so before we deploy our code or we run Terraform apply, we need to realize that there are some variables that we need to update. Okay, that's we need to personalize the variables, and it's inside when you open our when we clone project 3, we'll see inside terraform.trvas, this is the file, and you see we have image URI, we'll have the project name, we'll have the region, the DB password, and the certificate ARN. Okay, now what we simply need to do here for this certificate ARN, it's if we are running actually, if we have used that's if we have created a hosted zone and we are running our domain. Okay, we have created a domain. So for now, let's just focus on this image URI. What do? We need to first, before running this the Terraform apply, we need to first of all go and create an ECR repository manually. Why are we creating it manually? It's going to be hosting images, okay, and we need to create it either manually or use CloudFormation so that when we run Terraform destroy, we will not destroy completely the images or probably lost the images that we have. That's simply the reason. All right, and before we run that, we can either do it inside our Terraform. That's still optional, but usually it's good to separate it, okay, since images are going to be stored there, so that once we delete our infrastructure, we're not going to go and delete everything that is there stored there as our images. Okay, so what we are going to do now is that we're going to go and create our ECR and then copy this URI and come and put it there. So let's head on to the console and we'll go to our ECR. That's I've gone to Elastic Container Repository. This is it, Amazon Elastic Container Repository, and I'm going to create a repository. I'm going to give it the repository name. Let me just call it Lumia ECS. Okay. I'll leave the rest as default, and I'm going to create that. Right. Once that is created, you see I have the URI. All right, I'm just going to copy this and come and update now. There, and now you see this is the tag. Okay, so we're going to leave it to later so that in our build pipeline we need to make sure that an image is always tagged as latest. Okay, so now once I do that, I'm going now to come and run my Terraform init, Terraform plan, and Terraform apply. Okay, let me run Terraform init. So I had run Terraform init before, so it's not going to be an issue. It's just going to tell me that Terraform was successfully initialized. Next, I'm going to run Terraform apply auto approve, because when we run Terraform apply, it also does Terraform plan. Okay, well, I'm doing that because I'm already very sure that the code works. Okay, So I'm going to do the initialization. Let me pause my screen and come back when it's done. Right. So after updating our variables, that's the image URI, the certificate, we don't need it so much here. What we have to do then is that we have to now come and inside the project repo, we make sure that we are in there. We run terraform init if it's the first time we are doing that. I've done it already. That's why we see this .terraform folder that is there. So now we can now run terraform apply auto approve. It is going now to deploy the infrastructure as is. So we make sure that we have our especially our personalized variables that are there. If you use mine, your own is not going to work because it's going to try to access my stuff and it's not going to, you're not going to be able to do that. So when I run terraform apply auto approve, I have to give it some time. It takes about 20 minutes to deploy, so I'm going to pause my screen and get back when it's done. So as you can see, our code has been successfully deployed. What I just wanted to comment is that I had to do it. I did it in 2 times. That is, while it was deploying, it delayed for so long, so I had to stop it and rerun the deploy. That's why we're seeing 9 here, but if not, it's around 49, 41 resources that are supposed to be deployed. And when we look at it, let me just comment this last part. You see our RDS module, okay, with its resources and stuff like that, took time to deploy, and after it deployed, before this next one started, that is let me even just capitalize on this. That's my Lambda event. What is the reason for that? The reason is simply that in for our RDS is supposed to deploy, and after RDS deploy, before this one starts to deploy, okay, you see RDS finished before this one deployed, because we put this depends on. And why are we putting this depends on? Because if there's no need, Lambda is used to initialize the database, so it's needless deploying our Lambda before the RDS is actually finishes to deploy. And after we finish up with this, because our RDS obviously needs to be deployed first so that we can get its endpoint. That's another reason we can get its endpoints, the name and stuff like that. So all of this is gotten only after it's deployed. So after we have our RDS deployed, and that is when we deploy our null resource. The null resource actually is a provisioner to run this particular code locally. That's on my machine. So I made it to depend also on this Lambda event. So it has to run as the last resource after everything has been deployed already. And to do that, the reason for being that is simply because I wanted to use our Lambda to initialize our database. If you can recall from what I showed last time, inside Lambda, we have this script. That's a backup script for our Lambda function, which is needed to run our application. Okay, we need tables. So our Lambda function simply goes through and copies these commands one after the other. This is a command like this because it ends with a semicolon. This other one ends here. So Lambda is going to come here now. We see Lambda is going to come here. Is first of all going to look for these environment variables, which is going to be passed in while let me open it in another open to the side. Yeah, so let me scroll down. Yeah, this is the Terraform code that deploys Lambda. So before the Lambda is deployed, we need to pass in the DB host, the DB name, the DB port, the DB username and password, because it's going to need all of that in order to access the database and initialize it. So once it gets these environment variables, we're going now to create a connection. Okay, and we are using this Python library MySQL to connect to our database. And once we create it. I'm going now to say with connection dot cursor as cursor with open now, where that's this command is trying to open, is going to open the file for reading purposes. That's Python's way to open a file. And this R here stands for we are opening it to read. If it was to write, you would have put written better W there. So now SQL script is equal to f the read. So it reads now what is inside this file now and put it inside this variable called SQL script. Okay, once it copies it now, it's going to look through now this script and get each of the statements, okay, separated by that semicolon. All right, and then they say if the statement dot strip, you have to execute now that statement. So what it does now is that it has to look down through all of this. Is going to separate them by semicolon and execute one after the other. So it's going to create a table called role, another table called user, okay, and write and stuff like that. Create another one, user role, okay. So our application needs all of those. So once we update it and our lambda function, once we deploy our lambda function, it gets down, it picks all of these and deploy them one after the other to execute and update our RDS database. So once it finishes now, we see here a status 200 code, meaning that it has successfully deployed. 200 means it's successful. All right. Once it's successful, now that's when our Terraform deployment finishes. And here we have our outputs, the DNS name, and so on. So now our app is not yet up and running for the reasons being that, let me show us here. You see we have 0 of 1 task running and we see it's in progress. So it's trying to, what is actually still in progress because our container is not yet inside our ECR repository. Okay, so it's our pipeline that has to build and push it inside our ECR repository. And remember we came and created our repository here and copied the URI. That's copied the URI and went with it to Terraform before deploying Terraform. So now the next thing that we have to do now is that we have to look at the application code to build and push our images to all right, so after we have built our images and pushed, that's we update our pipeline to build our images and push to ECR, which here is the code for the pipeline. We're going to look at it step by step to understand what the code does. That's how the pipeline is configured to work. First, we are configuring on push. So we want our pipeline to be triggered on push on which branch? On the main branch. So we have a single branch, so we are just putting the branch, the name, branch name there. We have environment variables, and I have to notify us here of something called secrets. Okay, this secrets now we need to create it inside our GitHub secrets so that it cannot be visible. Okay, so once our pipeline is deployed, we'll not be able to see it, right? That's why it's called secret. Now, for the different jobs now that needs to run, before getting to that, we need to make sure that our ECS cluster matches, this name here matches what is what we have given to our cluster. Let me check. Our ECS cluster, Tech ECS infra cluster. Because if there is a difference, yeah, I think it's the same. If there's a difference, it's not going to deploy. For the service, is Tech ECS service. Let me confirm. Tech ECS service. Next, we have Tech task definition. For our task definition, Tech task definition, there we go. Yeah, so that is it. I had deployed others on already there, so that's why we're seeing those different task definitions there. So I'm going to now return now to my code. All of these I've confirmed, these ones are okay. I have now to check below and see what next. So now here in this first job we have 3 different jobs. Okay, it scans the image, builds and push the image, and then deploys to ECS. Okay, I'm going to show us now what happens here. So what I will do here is that I have to, well, it runs on an Ubuntu image. So each of the different jobs, you see this job here runs on an Ubuntu image in a Docker file, in a Docker image actually. So once it runs, after this job finishes, the Docker image is destroyed. So we have to configure each time we are we have to give in all the different parameters, like the operating system that is supposed to run on. Okay, each time that wants to declare a job. So now my operating system here is Ubuntu, and I'm checking out the code. Checking out the code is like I'm pulling the code to put inside the container. Now I have to set up OpenJDK 17, which is 17. The version that works with our code is Temarin. We have to build now our artifact and scan now that artifact. Okay, so we have now to go now to Sonar and create a project called Lumia Beanstalk Project 2 inside our organization called Lumia Beanstalk. Inside that's the Sonar Cloud http://Sonar Cloud. So these four parameters, the Sonar secrets for the Sonar token, the project key, the organization, and the host. We need all those information. So let's go to our code and run sonarcloud.io. As we can see the same thing here, sonarcloud.io. So once I open it, I'm going to log in. I'm going to select GitHub as my login method. For it to work, I need to have my GitHub, I need to have authenticated to GitHub on this same browser, okay? All right, so I had done a project like this before on this my repository. What I can do is that I can either delete it or edit it to use it on a new project, okay? But let me just delete the project. So I can show us step by step how to do it. Okay, no organization is there. You see, I have no organization there. So what I'll do now is that I'll come and press the plus sign and create a new organization. First, I come here and I look. You see that my organization name has to be Lumia. No, it's not. We are no more on Beanstalk. Let me change it to ECS. Okay, so I'll call it Lumia ECS. Let me copy the organization and import DevOps project. No, I'm going to select create one manually. My organization name, I'm going to put in Lumia ECS. I'm going to select a free version and I'm going to create my organization. Okay, after my organization is created, I'm going to go next now and create a project. So now I'll say analyze new project. This is me trying to create now a new project. It has selected automatically the organization. And let me say um, Lumia deploy to ECS. Okay. I want it to have this exact same name as the project key. Oh, let me even copy what is here. Oh, it's still being stuck. Let me deploy to ECS. That's what I want. Let me deploy to ECS. Let me leave it to be public. Next, I'm going to select previous version and then I'll create project. Once I create it, it's going now to provide me a secret that I'm going to use now for my GitHub action secrets. Okay, so now I'm going to copy the Sonar token. Let me come here. This is the project where I'm working on, and since my repository is private and anyways, let me do it if it creates a problem before show us what I mean. I'll come to under settings. This now we're trying to create a secret. Okay, so I'm going to go under settings, come to deploy keys, secrets and variables, and then actions. I'm going now to create repository secrets. We're under here, not environment secrets, but yeah, repository secrets. So I'm going to new repository secret. I'm going to give it now. Let me first of all put, oh no, I did not copy. Let me copy the name, which is Sonar token. So I'll come here, do Sonar token. For the token itself, now I'm just copy what is there and then I'll put it there like that, and then I'll add secrets. Okay, when I do it now in this like this, once it's referenced here like Sonar token, now it's going to reference that secrets. The Sonar token is going to pass in what is here for my account ID. I'm going to do the same. I have it somewhere. There we go. I'm going to copy this and back to my secrets, new repository secrets. I'm going to first of all put it there as a secret, and then I'm going to copy exactly the variable name, AWS account ID, and yeah, I'm going to add that secret. Next, I want to add as a Sonar token, I have my AWS secret, AWS access key and the secret access key. So I'm going to go now and create my AWS access key and secret access keys. Make sure all of these they remain secret. I'm going to create mine. I'm going to create a new user and use it, and after that I'm going to delete it. So I'm going back to my AWS and I'm going to go to IAM. So when I'm here, I'm coming here to IAM users. Under my user, security credentials, access keys. So I have two access keys. I'm going to delete one because I cannot have more than two, I mean. So I'm going to deactivate that one, and I'm going to delete it. So that I can create a new one. Okay, so now I'm going to create one for command line interface. All right, so I'm going to copy this and come inside my action secret. I'm going to create a new repository secret here. Now to remember to copy exact same name that I used inside my code. This is AWS access keys. Going back, AWS access key ID. I'm going to add the secret, and now the secrets, I'm going to do the same. Inside IAM, I'm going to copy, and not there. I'm going to come to here. All right, so you have to make sure that these keys are not, nobody sees it. All right, because after I do this, I'm going to delete it immediately, because if you have this exposed, somebody can access your account with this, just these two. So we have to come to here as a secret. So these keys are going to permit our GitHub Actions to have access to our AWS account. So in the same way, therefore, if you expose it, somebody will be able to have access to our account. So we need to be pretty careful with that. Now, after I have done that, let me verify if there is something more to be done. These are the keys, GitHub SHA. Okay, so we have everything configured as far as our secrets are concerned. We have configured this. Next now is to build and push our image. That's the job, to build and push our image. It runs on Ubuntu. It downloads. There is an update that I have to do here, because I did some changes here and I didn't do it here. So let me update it. Let me update this code here by running again let me see something. Let me return to my code. It had the possibility of uploading. Let me see, because if I can upload it here and download it here, it will make me not to build twice. So let me try this. It's the first time I'm doing this, but let me just do that. All right, so we have to, it will help us use GitHub Actions to upload our code, and it's going to give us the upload URL, and now it's going to scan it. And after we have uploaded it, you remember I said that if we build it and we don't upload it or store it somewhere, it's going to be discarded after this container disappears, because I said all of the jobs, each of the jobs run on a particular container. So after uploading it here, I'm sure this is the command to download it. And while it is downloaded now, I have now to build my Docker image. The Docker file is inside my code. This is my Docker file, so it's supposed now to build it now and push it to my ECR repository with the tag SHA and latest. Okay, now this is what theoretically it has to do. We have to confirm that when we do it practically. And now after having pushed to ECR, the next thing we need now to do is that we have to deploy to ECS. I have not included Trivy here for now for a particular reason. I'm going to get back to it. So then what happens is that we have to build down and push our image. No, after it needs to be our image have to be built and pushed. After it has been built and pushed now, we have now to still configure our credentials to be able to access our repository. And after we have configured, now what we have to do now is that we have to first of all create a new task definition. Okay, by updating, that's we have to first of all download the task definition. That's task definition equal to this. The new task definition is an update of what was previously there with the new image that is from being pushed. Okay, and once we have the new image that have been pushed, what we'll do now is that we'll have to register the task definition now, the new task definition. Okay, we register it, and after registration now we have to update our service that's called ECS to trigger now a new deployment. What task definition simply contains, it contains the particular image that needs to be run, the number of images that need to be running, and so on. So since we have now this file that can permit us to carry out all those updates, that's where we just do the update. We download the file, update it, and create a new task definition, and then push it and cause our ECS to deploy that newly deployed task definition. So what I have to do now is that I simply need to push this to trigger my pipeline. So make them a screen. I would say git add all git commits -m as a message. I would say added to pipeline artifact storage in GitHub. Close. Now run git push. All right, so with GitHub Actions, once we push, it triggers automatically. So let me go rapidly and check what is going on. I'm inside project 3, so I'm coming inside Actions, and we see there it is running. So let's go and see if it's going to do all of that successfully. Presently, it has to try to scan. It builds, does a build. Let me close those logs. So we are currently building with Maven. After we build it, I'm expecting it to upload the artifacts. Let me confirm what is going on. So we are here, it has to build, and let me see. Right, something has to go, something will go wrong there because our artifact is, the name inside is different. So I'm going to grab this name and come here. The name of the artifact is not var artifact, but that's the name of the artifact. So obviously I'm expecting it to fail. Just uploaded the artifact, and that's the artifact download URL. So I'm sure if I click here, it should give me the possibility of downloading the artifact. There we go. Okay, the name was actually var artifact, so that's not what I want. Our build and push is supposed to fail because Docker will not find it. Okay, it has downloaded, but I'm not sure the Docker should fail. Right, as expected, it actually failed, and that was the reason. Let's scroll down and see. We say the repository with name Lumia Tech repo does not exist. Okay, let me update. Let me carry out the different updates. It was under build image. Let me get the ECR repository. Okay, one of the errors, the repository does not exist. We need to update the repository with this. So I'm going to call it Lumia ECS. I'm sure that is what needed to be updated there. Next, I'm trying to make sure that I have the same thing as far as my artifact is concerned, as the same name. Okay, let me push again. It's going to trigger the pipeline all over. This first one failed. Okay, return. Check why it failed, and we saw it, and so now it has started a new pipeline. Since we know that that one is going to pass, let's come and wait it here. So these are the different jobs. This one will finish and pass it to this one, and so on. So let's wait till it passes here. It's the second time. Let me pause a bit and return when it's done. Right. So after about 2 minutes, our pipeline has completely built and pushed. We have to rush down to our ECS to make sure that we see the changes that is going on. Okay, there we go. We see that's in progress. Let's check the different task that is being executed. So it's launching two different tasks. Let's wait for a while. We see that 2 is pending there. Let's wait for a while and confirm if it's going to succeed. Okay, we have seen it has turned to green. It has seen the task and it has transformed into green. As far as the containers were concerned, you remember nothing was inside. So as I'm going to open now, I'm expecting to see our image. You see, it's just latest and then the GitHub SHA image name. I can edit this name to have an image that I want, that's an image name that I want. The modifications can be done inside here. That's GitHub share. Okay, so that's where the name, that's those numbers came in. So I can give in a customized name. So now our pipeline has successfully deployed. Our task definition has been created. A new task definition has been created, and we have registered it and updated the service. So if I get back now to my task definitions in here, you remember the last one was 12, so I'm expecting the new one now to be 13. That's linear take task definition. So now this is the task definition that is running. These numbers, they are auto incrementing. Okay, so there's no way to change this number. So once, if we deploy the next one, it's going to turn to 14 actually. So our application now, we are sure that our application is actually up and running. We need to come back to the URL here. Let me copy and go and check. Okay. // paste it. Okay. Okay, privacy issue. So I'm proceeding there. Well, it's showing this because it's not HTTPS. Okay, it's simply HTTP. So my browser is flagging that it's a dangerous site actually. But the HTTPS is because I have not requested a certificate. All right, so there we go. We have our application, but then I'm sure there is something that I forgot to make mention. Let me see if you will not, if I will not sign in, then I'll show us where the issue needs to be done. Okay, user not found. And I think that it is because it's not being connected to the database, and for a particular reason, because I did not, there's a file here that I did not update it. Source, main, resources, applications or properties. Yeah, I needed to update this database endpoint, URL endpoint. So I have to get here to inside my terraform, that's the DBS, the database endpoint. I have to copy it without that one, and I have to come here and update it. I think MySQL is after this. Yeah, so I had to do this before pushing my code, so I'm expecting now to push it and see it work. Let me commit and push. All right, so the pipeline has to trigger now, so I'm going to pause and wait till it finishes. All right, after we have successfully deployed, we see all of this, they are green. We have to give it some time for ECS to update, and when we come here, we have to see a green here to show that, and we have to make sure it's completed here before we try to test. We can now go to our load balancer URL. I mistakenly closed it. Let's see. It's not in the memory. I cannot easily get it. Let me try to get it from EC2. while it's loading, let's look at what has happened here. So the summary of our scan, okay, this is the branch. So the summary of our scan, we notice that for the overall code, we have there's 3 open issues. The code is we have for reliability, we have 51 open issues. Maintainability, 951 open issues, duplications, coverage, and stuff like that. So the security guys, they know better how to interpret this. And also, we are dealing with the free version of SonarQube, so we'll not have very detailed information about the scans. But if we went in for the paid version, they would include um, the quality gates that will permit us to fail our code if it does not reaches a certain standard. So for now, we're just using the free version to get to understand what happens around SonarQube. Now, yeah, so this is more of something like this that we're looking for, and the scan has been completed successfully. If yours is not yet it's not open, you simply need to open your project. Okay, that's the project, and we come to the summary. It's taking some time there to load. Now, going back to our EC2, let me look for the load balancers. That's the load balancers, and copy the DNS and run it. There we go. That's the DNS. That's the load balancer. That's the ARN. This is the DNS. So I'm going to come here now, paste it there. Make sure it's not HTTPS, it's HTTP simply. Okay, so it's going to bring me there. I'm seeing already login there, so the application is loading. Now, the username is admin, and the password is admin underscore v. The username is admin underscore v. The password is the same. And I'll try to log in, and I'm expecting now to have the welcome page. This welcome page is successful because I was able to authenticate to my database. The database I had authentication. That's why this particular user that I put in, that's admin underscore vp, was stored inside the database. All right. So now I have explainer of my application. So the database and my application is communicating successfully. So if this was any site, we can scroll through it and get to understand what is going on in the site. So we have successfully now deployed our application to ECS. We have deployed, we made just one task to run. We can come here and update the task and make them into 2 tasks. Inside our terraform, we can change the number of tasks. Okay. Let's check. We can maybe go in for the monitoring. For monitoring, I can go to CloudWatch and check the dashboards. That's the dashboard that was created with my Terraform, and I'm expecting to see some data. Good. So we have our CPU utilization, that is that, but that's absent there. ECS memory utilization, ALV performance, our target health. We are seeing some metrics there. For RDS, we have no data yet because seemingly our app is just from connecting, so we have some time to start seeing metrics in here. If we leave it after some time, we'll start seeing metrics being uploaded. So basically, that's our application that we have just deployed. We have had our monitoring, and for the next other stuff, we can maybe be curious and find out how to implement and add them. If you have difficulties, you reach out and I'll see how to assist. Thank you so much for following this project. I hope it makes sense and it helps. If it does not and you have questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much.